What is up, guys? We're back with another Four Nations face-off related video. The lines, again, tentative lines. It was the first day of practice today for all the teams in Montreal, and we've got to have a look at some line combos. There's been a few contradicting reports for some of the teams about what the line combos are. Some of the teams like Canada and US, it's pretty well been set by anyone. When it comes to Sweden and Finland, I've seen a few different posts about line combos. For the purposes of today's video, we're going to go based off daily face-off. Again, I wish Cap Friendly was still alive and well, but it is not. Right now, we're going to use the daily face-off. They have some line combos that they have put up. Again, the Canada ones, the US ones are pretty much what I've seen everywhere. The Finland ones and the Sweden ones are a little different than what I've been seeing, but for all intents and purposes, we will use them today. That being said, let's jump straight in with what I'm going to call the ugly. And for the ugly, we have Team Finland. These poor guys. They've been, kind of decimated by injuries. You see here on Twitter, it's Amanda Steen reporting Finland only had 11 skaters on the ice today. They've been decimated with injuries. Won't expect much in terms of figuring out their lineup today and where Howlow will play. We'll have to wait and see when they're closer to a full roster. And again, this rings true. I feel bad. I can't even remember the name of the young defenseman they just had to pick up. I believe he's only played like 30 games in his career, and he is on the team. It is funny because I did make an argument that they could have taken some AHL talent and made a team. Oh my God, where is Pasternak from? A team Czech. They could have made a Czechia team. They probably could have did it. They would have just dipped into the AHL a little bit. Still would have been NHL talent because it's a player that could get called up. They could have made a team. They could have. It wouldn't have been a great team, but they still would have had a team. At this point, it wouldn't have been much worse than than Finland. I mean, they're still not bad, but again, your first line, Teravainen, Barkov, Laine. Laine has been ice cold since the Fortnite Fortnite season 2. Again, I'm not big into Fortnite, but Fortnite season 2 has re-released kind of thing. So I saw a tweet today showing that he was his hot streak. Then that was released, and he's the last 5 games after that he has had 0 points. Again, coincidence, relapse into Fortnite, who knows? But again, not having Mikko Rantanen, who they were concerned might have been injured, not able to play himself, not having him on the first line is kind of crazy to me. Maybe they want to keep him and Aho together because they do play together in Carolina right now, which again, that's another topic which doesn't seem to be going as well as they hoped. Again, their team, Teravainen, Barkov, Laine. It's a good first line. Again, Laine, I don't know. All of his production's been on the power play for the most part, and he's been cold. I don't know if he deserves to be up there on the first line. Honestly, Capo Kakko's been playing pretty well. I wouldn't be upset with him getting bumped up to this spot right here. Second line, Lehkonen, Aho, Rantanen. I mean, we have Lehkonen and Rantanen connection. We have the Aho and Rantanen connection now. It's not a bad line. In all honesty, if it wasn't for the fact that Alexander Barkov is probably the best player on this team, that would be a great first line, but it's not. And then now, again, interesting, on the third line here, we have Kaapo Kakko, who, has been playing great since he's been in Seattle. Probably going to look back and be a pretty bad trade, and the Rangers will realize that they probably should have just utilized him a bit more, and he probably could have been a great player, like he was projected to be when he was drafted so high. Finishing out that lines, we have Hintz, we have Granlund, who now are playing together in Dallas. A good line, but again, it's when you're looking at a world, the best of the best kind of tournament, you don't want a good line. You want a great line for all 4 lines, which then leads us to the fourth line. Again, Luostarinen and Lundell, they're great young players. They're nothing to write home about. They're not, when we get into some of these other teams, It doesn't compare. And then again, Armia, he's been in the league for a number of years. Again, these guys are still the best at what they do, and they're some of the best players in the world. But when you compare them to some of these other countries that are in just this small tournament with only 4 teams, they stand out, unfortunately. And again, it's been injuries. Smaller country, it's bound to happen. Let's move on to defense. On defense, Esa Lindell and Olimata as your top pairing is tough. Then even Valimaki and Jokiharju, and then Mikkola and Vakanainen. Like their back end. I mean, all you need to see with most of these things are jerseys that don't have a number. It's because these players were just put in as replacements. Too late to even figure out a number yet. Again, this is arguably a decent NHL defense core. Not a best in the world kind of defense core, not at all. And no one can argue that it is. It's very clearly not. Yeah, and again, I haven't even looked at what their power play has been. Again, that power play, and Valimaki on a power play is interesting. If you'd think they'd have one of these guys probably up there, but I guess they want to have a defenseman in there somewhere. And so I guess they have to put someone. Second power play, again, it's good. It's not great. I mean, Granlund's playing third line in Dallas. If you're having third liners in the NHL, third liners on their current NHL teams on your second power play unit, not a good sign. Go through penalty kill. We don't really need to look at it. Goalies, they're projecting that Saros and Lankinen will be their number 1 and number 2, which, again, I don't think anyone would be surprised by. Let's move on next to Team Sweden. So, for Team Sweden, again, Rickard Rakell, second line. This is one of those teams where I've seen some movement in what people are projecting. So, again, going back to what I was saying about some difference in opinions, I think these lines look better personally than these lines. I mean, there's not a whole lot of change, but there still is. Nylander, Zibanejad, Rakell. Rakell is a bit of an odd one. He's been having a pretty good year, and he's been pretty good as of late, which is why he was the injury addition to this team. Nylander is the best player on this team. Again, call me a Leafs homer. Out of everyone on here, he is the best one on the team. Nylander, Zibanejad, I don't think he also deserves to be on that first line again, but their center core has been, I mean, Eriksson Ek's been fine, but he's not a first liner on this kind of team. We'll go back over. It's just, Elias Lindholm underperforming, Mika Zibanejad underperforming, Elias Pettersson underperforming. What are you supposed to do? I think you just put someone up there and who just keep who sticks. I think these lines, again, I think are better. Nylander deserves to be on the first line, not the second. Nylander, Zibanejad, Rakell, it's a fine line. Again, first line with Zibanejad and the questions surrounding him, and then Rakell, again, he's been an injury replacement. You'd almost maybe want to bump, in my opinion, bump Petey up, bump Forsberg up. Petey's up in this line. But, again, who knows? At this point, they might even want to try putting Nylander at center on this team. I know, it's a rant. It is what it is. Philip Forsberg, Elias Pettersson, Adrian Kempe. Great line. Kempe's played great. Forsberg's always plays great. Pettersson underperforming. Rakell, Zibanejad, Nylander. Again, a fine second line. But again, if that's your second line, you want your first line to be a lot better than it, and it's not. Jesper Bratt, Eriksson Ek, and Lucas Raymond. I mean, it has the potential to be a great line, I think. Eriksson Ek, very responsible defensively. Lucas Raymond's having a great season this year, and I mean, Jesper Bratt has been playing great since she's been in New Jersey. Then you move on to Arvidsson, Lindholm, Nyquist. Again, it's a good fourth line. Again, it's hard in this tournament. It's injuries. It's players pulling out, which again is something else that I'll probably talk about a little later in this video because it does worry me to see the amount of players that have been, oh, I have an injuries that I can't play, and so I'm not going to play in this tournament. Looking at you, Alex Pietrangelo. That's why I love guys like Drew Doughty. But again, we'll talk about that in Canada. On defense, it's definitely probably their bright spot. Victor Hedman, Jonas Brodin. That's a good pairing. Dahlin and Anderson, another great pairing. Ekholm and Carlson, again, another great pairing. I know what you can say what you want about Erik Karlsson, but he's been playing better. You can note here that Friedman did say that Forsling is sick today and not practicing, so their defense could change. Again, these lines could be completely thrown in the blender by the start date of this tournament. It's the first day of practice. They're just trying to figure things out. I'm sure, the coach, the GM, has had ideas in his head about who he wanted to put together for lines. They need to figure out. Some stuff's not going to work. Some stuff's going to work really well. There's going to be things that they thought were horrible that turn out to be great. Again, it's day one. So again, it looks like Erik Karlsson probably will be playing. I wouldn't think it would be a bad idea to insert Forsling over Erik Karlsson and keep these lines. Hedman, Brodin, Dahlin, Anderson, Ekholm, and Forsling. I think it would be great. If you want to keep Erik Karlsson in there just so you have someone, maybe on the power play or something. But again, they don't have him on the power play. So really, he's Erik Karlsson. I think they take him out when Forsling is not sick and he's over this illness, as long as he is good to play. Again, no special teams for Erik Karlsson. Obviously, he's not going to play on the penalty kill. And then goalies, Philip Gustafsson, Linus Ullmark. I think that'll probably be who they pick. Let's move on to Team USA, who, if you've seen the lines, it's pretty terrifying. Team USA, the first line there, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk. You have the scoring of Connor and Eichel. You have again, Matthew Tkachuk can score. He can probably more known as a passer, a bit of a power forward kind of role. I think that's a fantastic line. In all honesty, if you play hot, you play NHL or anything at all, you have the sniper, you have the playmaker, you have the two-way / power forward. It's chef's kiss, perfect line. Then the second line, honestly, I might find even more interesting than the first. Jake Gensel, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, the goal production that if this was a line in the NHL or you put it into a game, I'm actually tempted to put it into a video game and just see how well this line would do. Hughes probably is going to be the playmaker on this, but again, all these guys can pass, all these guys can score. Crazy that this is a second line, especially looking at the other two teams that we just looked at. Insane. Matt Boldy, JT Miller, Brady Tkachuk. I can just picture something happening when this line's on the ice, and it's going to be like a wires crossing competition to see who's going to lose it more between JT Miller and Brady Tkachuk. Not a line that anyone's going to want to play against. They're going to be a shutdown line when they're up. They're going to stick these guys out there and just run guys through the boards. And then finishing off, Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, Dylan Larkin. I believe the player missing here is Chris Kreider. I think it could be Chris Kreider, it could be Brock Nelson. That's the odd man out. But again, you're looking at Dylan Larkin, who's a first liner on a team that's probably going to make the playoffs. Vincent Trocheck was a first liner until they just traded for JT Miller in New York, and Brock Nelson, I believe, is a first liner on the Islanders. Again, all fringe teams or on the outside looking in kind of teams in the NHL. But again, when you have 3 first liners on your fourth line, it's a good sign. Then we move on to defense. Jacob Slavin, who is, doesn't get a lot of credit for how good he is. Probably one of the, if not the best defensive defenseman in the league. Chris Tanev gets a lot of credit for how good he is defensively, but again, he's pretty one-dimensional with the defense and then the blocking, putting the body on the line. But Jacob Slavin is just, I played defense when I was growing up, and all through at hockey. Jacob Slavin is what a defenseman should be. And then again, Adam Fox, unreal. It would have been it's a real kick in the pants that they're missing Quinn Hughes here. And I could just imagine if they had had Slavin and Hughes, what a line that would have been, or even go for an all-out offense kind of defense pairing with Fox and Hughes, but we don't get it unfortunately. Then the second line, Werenski and McAvoy again, just a crazy defense pair. And then Hannafin and Faber it's a bit interesting. Like Faber's kind of the young gun, and Hannafin was, I think he was kind of looked at as the seventh defenseman on this team up until Quinn Hughes getting hurt. And honestly, I can't even remember who got named as the injury replacement here. But yeah, it's a great defense core. Any of these lines as a first line on a first defensive pairing on an NHL team would be incredible. That's a sign that it's a good team. Then we move down. These teams, I'm going to look at the power play and stuff a little bit more, because if you have Jack Hughes, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, and Zach Werenski, there's not going to be many better power plays, but there is one that is much better, in my opinion, in this tournament. Second power play unit, Brady Tkachuk, stick him in front of the net, JT Miller, Dylan Larkin, Adam Fox, Kyle Connor. Again, I can just see them, feeding Kyle Connor for one-timers and that quick release. JT Miller also has a wicked shot. Have the rest of the guys kind of play it around and try and get it to those guys. Again, crazy good power play. And then again, okay, so they are showing Chris Kreider on the first penalty kill unit, but not playing in the game. So that's a bit of a screw up on daily faceoffs end here. But again, they have players that can play those shutdown roles. Like I said, Jacob Slavin, one of the best defensive defensemen, if not the best defensive defenseman in the league. And then Trocheck, Kreider, both would make great penalty killers. And then here, like I said, Dylan Larkin, very responsible, 200-foot game. And JT Miller, who again is willing to do what he needs to do to win, even if that means, leaving his team and starting a fight so he can get out of there to go somewhere else. Brock Faber, Noah Hannafin, nothing crazy there. And then, Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, completely agree that should be the two goalies. Swayman hasn't quite played up to the level that he was expected with that contract, but again, it's probably just because of the late start and the little bit of a holdout and stuff there. But Connor Hellebuck's going to be the starter on this team all day long. Now, moving on to the last team, and again, another fairly interesting one. It is worth the note with Canada that Konechny was sick today, didn't play, so that's why you won't see him in any of the lines. I am curious to see who comes out if they do take someone out and put him in when he is feeling better there. But first line, Reinhart with McDavid, exactly like I predicted. I think a lot of people were upset about Hyman not making this team, but again, when you have another 50-plus goal scorer in Sam Reinhart, who is playing incredible this year, playing just as well as he did last year, why do you need Zach Hyman? Again, this could come back and bite me. Someone can sound clip this, and when there's an instance where we need some hard-nosed grind kind of players, and Zach Hyman would have been perfect. But Sam Reinhart, Connor McDavid, they have the connection, I think, from back in junior, like junior, Team Canada junior, I believe, and then Mitch Marner, like that line of Mitch Marner, how good he is at passing, how good Connor McDavid also is at passing and at shooting, and then Sam Reinhart, who is so good at shooting and scoring. This line is going to be fun to watch. It is going to be insane. Then moving on to the second line, like my prediction, I did think they would not have the Nova Scotia line. I did think that McKinnon would be moved up, and I thought that Marchand might be there. But I did say I figured Marchand would be on the third line, and that McKinnon would be up on the first line. So as of right now, my prediction's half right, actually 2/3 right. Because Mark Stone again, his foot speed with McKinnon, I just don't see how it works well. And then Crosby in the middle. Again, Crosby has slowed down, obviously. He's, 100 years old at this point. But I think the connection between these guys, they play all summer together. They train all summer together. They're going to have that connection where they, it doesn't matter that they don't play on the same team in the NHL. Like, they play a lot together. They practice a lot together. again, the Mark Stone thing, immediately in my head, I don't see anyone that stands out that I'm like, no, they should be up there instead. I think it's a fantastic line. Then the third line, again, funny line. Braden Point, who, continues to prove why he should be there, why he should get a little bit more credit for how he plays. He might be taken over from Barkov as one of those more or most underrated players in the league. I don't think he gets enough credit because he gets overshadowed by a lot of the other big stars in Tampa, but incredible player. And yeah, him along with two really small guys in Brad Marchand and Seth Jarvis. It's an interesting line. I can see the potential there, but again, it's just, I don't know. Looking at this team, when I picture Team Canada and I picture the 2010 Olympics, where like every player it seemed like was a household name. I mean, Drew Doughty was, I think, scratch, and he was even like a household name already. Yeah, it doesn't get that same feel of a Team Canada in years past. I mean, again, it's the middle of the season. It's not the Olympics, so I don't think players care enough about this. And we're getting a little bit of that All-Star game effect, where players would rather go to Cancun, go to wherever, go on a vacation instead of playing more hockey, which is unfortunate. But I mean, I didn't think it would happen with the first best on best tournament that we've had in a while. But here we are. Last line, Brandon Hagel. I mean, he's coming into this tournament hot. He arguably could be that guy that moves up here in Mark Stone's place. But I mean, again, I'm not going to dispute it, and these lines could change. I believe he just got named first star of the week for our last week going into the break here. He's been playing incredible. Chicago Blackhawks, I mean, Connor Bedard probably has nightmares just thinking about, this guy we could have had on our team, and, management gave him away for nothing. Whatever. He would have been, I mean, who knows? He might not have been the player he is now in Tampa Bay, but again, the potential must have been there. Tampa Bay makes good moves. It's one of those things where if someone calls you, you should probably hang up the phone. I think it's, they say that about Lou Lamoriello. If he calls, you're probably not winning the trade. You're not winning that signing. You're not getting the most money you could have got. But I mean, there you go. It's Brandon Hagel, Cirelli again, great. Pretty good defensively, which is why he's on the fourth line. And then Sam Bennett can muck it up and a good fourth liner. And again, I have no problem with these lines. Yeah, there's things that could be changed, but if these are the lines they decide to roll out, no issues with them. On defense, Makar and Taves, I mean, they're the best pairing in the NHL, in my opinion. Why split up a good thing? Yeah, it is what it is. It's a great pairing. They've proven it in the NHL, and they'll prove it again in this tournament. Why they are the best pairing that's the NHL's probably seen in a long time. After them, we have Morrissey and Parayko. I think it was probably an easy decision to make this line just based on Theodore. He lost his D partner there with Pietrangelo when he pulled out, and Drew Doughty. I mean, what can you say about the guy? He snaps his leg, comes back, immediately playing like 25 minutes plus a night just because he wanted to play in this tournament. And what can you do besides respect the hell out of it? He doesn't care. He wouldn't care if he was sitting on the bench just getting a go, or not even sitting on the bench, sitting in the stands. Drew Doughty is as Canadian as you can get. He loves it. He loves hockey. It's all he wants. He wants to represent his country, and he's getting to do it. He only had a few games once he got back, and yeah, he had a couple rough ones, but I mean, I think the biggest concern with Doughty was just getting the foot speed back and seeing that he could actually play in the games. And again, like I said, I believe he's been over 25 minutes a night in all those games since he got back, and I mean, there you go. He played his way onto the team. But back again, Morrissey, Parayko. Morrissey, great offensive option. Parayko, more of just a big body shutdown. He does have a little bit of offensive talent, but again, he's more for the defensive defenseman, with Morrissey being the offensive defenseman. Morrissey's still great defense on the defensive end, but Parayko's not going to be the one that jumps up into the rush. It's going to be Josh Morrissey. And then yeah, on the third line here, Shea Theodore, Drew Doughty. It's slipping my mind again who the seventh defenseman is. Sanheim. I mean, you could sub Sanheim in for Doughty. Again, I think if anyone comes out of this lineup, it's going to be Doughty. Because again, they're not going to split up that top line. Parayko's size is too valuable. Morrissey is, the next best offensive defenseman option on this team. And then, you have Theodore, who's a great defenseman. You're not taking him out. And then Doughty, it's just, again, if he comes out, it'll just be because of the pace of the games. Again, it's if he can keep up, they'll keep him there. It just sucks for Sanheim, but, it's kind of a perfect defensive core for Team Canada, in my opinion. Then we move on to my favorite part. PP1. Sam Reinhart, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon. That's as good of a power play as I've ever seen in any tournament on any team. There's going to be people that are going to talk about, Gretzky, Lemieux era hockey teams, but modern day, with what most of us have, grown up in my age demographic and even older, this is going to be the best power play unit you've probably ever seen. I'm just picturing the passes going back and forth, and hopefully then in the net. I think Brad Marchand had a comment today when asked about the power play, and he said the team should just throw all three of their goalies in the net and try and do their job, because this passing of all these players, the creativity of Makar, McDavid, McKinnon, and Sid. But Sid's mostly there for the vision and again, it's Sid. He's gonna go down as one of the greatest players to ever play the game, and that is for a reason. Even power play too. You get Stone, Point, Marner. You get two defensemen on the back end, which again, most of these teams haven't been going with. They've been having two defensemen between both units, kind of thing. But Stone again. I'm not the biggest Mark Stone fan, and I'm not the biggest Mark Stone he's so amazing. It's his foot speed really drives me nuts. But again, he's smart. But again, I think of him more as being smart and sound defensively, not so much for his offensive output, which is why I probably would put someone like Brandon Hagel on that second power play unit instead. Even put Seth Jarvis, again, someone that can, maybe has a bit more offensive upside. But again, Marner passing the puck around, Morrissey is fantastic. Shea Theodore, again, he has a big shot. He can shoot the puck. He can move the puck. It's really funny, but this is a great PP2. Again, penalty kill we'll go over quickly. Cirelli, Hagel, again, they both kill penalties on Tampa Bay. They're going to do it here as well. Taves and Parayko, again, probably the two best defensive defensemen that Team Canada has, so it makes sense. This one's funny. I think they just are counting on Taves having great cardio and playing both units. But then, Mitch Marner, Seth Jarvis, two smaller guys, but two guys that can kill penalties. Seth Jarvis gets a lot of help by doing that system that the Canes run man on man. It makes it a lot easier for the penalty kill when you really have to focus on where players are, and that's what man on man kind of is all about, is really really locking down a player, which you can't do when you're down by one, because then someone's left open if everyone does that. But again, if one person's left open, they're probably not going to be able to do too much. Take some shots from the outside. Again, I think this is a great PP2. And then in net, Aiden Hill joining Binnington. It's the weak spot for Canada. No one's ever going to deny that it's the weak spot for Canada. Aiden Hill's a big body. With the defense that he has in front of him, shots should be limited. They should be able to keep a lot of it from the outside. He has a big body. He should be able to get in front of lots of pucks. He's won a Stanley Cup. I have faith in that Aiden Hill will be serviceable enough, absolutely serviceable enough. That's underselling it. He will be good enough for Team Canada to have success in this tournament. Will they win? I don't know. Looking at these lines, I think Finland is toast. Again, between the injuries, between what they had to select from in the first place, they never had much of a chance. At the end of the day, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a Canada-USA final, and I think Canada's has a little bit more of that clutch factor, a little bit more of that, big game, played in the big game, know how to play there. They've been to the show. They know what's expected. I mean, like Reinhardt, Stanley Cup, McDavid, been to the finals. He knows what it's about. Marner, little questionable. Stone, Stanley Cup. Crosby speaks for himself. McKinnon, Cups. Marchand, Cup. Point, Cups. Jarvis, no Cups. Hagel has a cup. Cirelli has a cup. Sam Bennett has a cup. Taves has a cup. McCarr has a cup. Morrissey does not. Parayko has a cup. Theodore has a cup. Drew Doughty has a cup. What are you supposed to say about the team? You move to the States. You have no cup. You have a cup. You have a cup. Cups. None. 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 Like Brady Tkachuk hasn't even seen the playoffs. No cups. No cups. No cups. None. Has a cup. No cups. I mean, I know it's not the end all be all, but when the lights are the brightest, you want someone that's been there before. Team Canada has that. Yeah, that's it for this one. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, the news is that the biggest news of all. I don't know how I just kind of glazed over it. Sidney Crosby. He is playing. There was worries that he wasn't going to be able to do it. Mark Scheifele was put on standby. Who again? Mark Scheifele. I think Mark Scheifele would have looked really nice in this lineup over almost half of this lineup. Probably half of this forward core. I mean, other than maybe, you know what? Exclude Hagel and add in Mark Stone. I would take Scheifele over Stone, Marchand, Point, Jarvis, and Bennett, and Cirelli. Might be a hot take, but I think he's proved it this year that he deserves to be on this team. I think it's crazy that he didn't get picked in the start, and he would have been a great replacement for Crosby. He's no Sidney Crosby, but I mean, you move McKinnon over to the center from the wing, you stick Scheifele there next to him, the team still would have been great. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. As the tournament approaches, hopefully I'll be able to get some more videos out, but I'm going to be working some long hours at work coming up to the tournament. But once it starts, I'm going to be off on my days off for the whole chunk of it, for my weekend. It's my long weekend off, so hopefully I'll be watching it along with you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to get some videos out while the tournament's going on, see how things progress, see how some lines change, see what happens. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Like, subscribe, throw a comment on there. I've still been trying to get it. Just put a comment of a player, just a random player. You know what? I'm not even going to tell you why. Just put a name of a player in the comments. That's it. But yeah, that's it for this one, guys. Have a good night. Peace.